Hey friends, just waking up from a nap today. Work was just a fucking bitch, and I was supposed to meet with Nick from Indrima, but he's busy. He's very busy actually, so I got to reschedule. And I sat here and thought about it and decided to. I was watching some videos, and so um, I get energized like you guys. It's this back and forth energy thing. Watching Benny UK's video, letting me know he got the records. Wow. I knew I sent the Lovecraft to the right person. I'm really happy to have made the connection with all of you. But thank you, thanks, Benny. So anyway, I'm saying and I'm tempted to stop and start again. I'm gonna try to keep going and just be naked about this. I like to respond to what people say. It's like food. And I got a comment, and I've gotten them before, that people enjoy it besides seeing the new stuff, but just seeing what you're listening to or what's in your collection. And so I was listening, trying to get ready for another noise ambient video. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show what of that I had been listening to mixed with what else I have been listening to besides the new records that I got, which I'm listening to. And let me tell you, I'm going to really, this new Washed Out is, for me, this is the kind of thing that I love. It's just really beautiful. And I have not paid any attention to the words. I really do not know what he's singing about. I just love the texture of the sound of this music, and I like it's beautiful. I think it's really beautiful. So in getting into some of my more, I guess more some dark stuff, maybe that's just a stereotype of it, but some noise / ambient sound, droney type of stuff. Testament. This is a compilation, and I'm still not sure what the label. Well, oh yeah, it is. It's RRR Records, not the label put together. Not Recommended Records by Chris Cutler. This is another label, put together in the United States, but good. You can see there the bands. The ones that I have other records by are Illusion of Safety, Arcane Device, Randy Grief, and John Wiggins. I have more records by them, but overall this is kind of industrial with a noise punk ethic. The guys name are locked grooves, so you'll be listening for a long time and it doesn't dawn into you really that you're listening to the same few seconds of noise over and over again, because that's the beauty of listening to sound, is you interact with it. You can hear the same thing over and over again, but depending on how you're taking it in, it becomes many different things. And this record, when I bought it, well, it doesn't come with a cover. It just comes with this big booklet, and I had to find something to put it in. But Testament, a good dark noise / punk noise compilation from the 80s. Let me just take a look. That's another thing I often forget to do, is give you guys a sense of time period here. And again, I'd have to look here for a while here. This appears to be, I'm not seeing any dates. Okay, 84, 1984. So I'm going to go by that, mid-80s. I grabbed this, and it's I believe, a New Zealand band. It's on Flying Nun. Massive Stereo Sellout. By Now is the name of the record. And this is strange. It sounds like a band basing its sound on early sampling. I say early, but this is probably maybe early 90s. Sampling has been around for a while. This is 1988, actually, 1988. But at first it's hard to determine exactly what you're hearing, except for drums, and then it sounds like, again, that much of it is sampled, and some rather strange samples of that. And so, consequently, this ends up sounding really rather unique and good. We pulled out. Jeff was over last night. We didn't do a video because we just needed to talk, and you know, sometimes blue people just need to kind of prop each other up, you know, and we didn't want to do that in front of the camera. But for example, I pulled something out to play for him. We were talking about the site, and I had forgotten this band, and I pulled it because I got this really cheap, I think, and this is why, because I still don't know much about the band. And I remember it as being kind of psych. I remember it as being not really very impressive, and we put it on, and again, it's not very impressive now. I have 2 albums by him, and I played the other one, and I like the cover of this one. I'm going to give this one another try, because I actually played some more of this today, on my lunch break, and I'm thinking, it really couldn't be that bad. It really sounded like shit last night, and I played it, and it's like, this sounds really bad. So I'm going to give this a chance. A Cauldron. If there's a fan out there, tell me how to listen to this, because it sounds really amateurish and kind of wannabe-ish, but not even there. I remember getting these. Must have been cheap, you know. Took a chance on them. I like to do that. Take a chance on things. Here we have Mr. Ron Geeson, who came to some prominence working with Roger Waters and Pink Floyd. A Raise of Eyebrows. His records are an interesting mixture of his sound dabbling and his actual composition and kind of crooning jazz whistling, which I can do without the jazz whistling, to be honest. But his ability to manipulate sound and what he was doing at the time was very much groundbreaking. Here's something, Bone Rattle, which I'm not sure which toy. Bone Rattle. I bought this from Justin Clifford Rohde, who I really ought to get in touch with. Actually, he's a musician that I should call him actually a sound maker and artist that I met from the East Coast a few years ago when he came through on tour. And he was through again last year on tour with, I forget the name of the band, but he had some stuff, and I bought this, liking the cover, not knowing a thing about the band. There's a certain amount of DIY-ness to it where it sounds like it was made by, you know, kind of like it was done at home, but it hits some, and so there's like kind of junky percussion and noisy stuff, but it gets into some nice parts where it all comes together. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of listen for it, wait for it. That one's pretty cool. Bass Communion. I have this on CD, but just wanted to spin it, kind of thinking about, you know, the pros and cons of colored vinyl picture discs when it comes to actual listening, you know. And yeah, the way to listen to this is on the CD, but this is a dark record. And Steve Wilson of Porcupine Tree is Bass Communion. And indeed, that was the purpose of the project, was to conjure up, you know, music for images of the dead. Going back to sound manipulation and good noise, this is something good that I want to recommend. Some of you folks may have heard of The Faint. DePose was the guitarist in The Faint. This is his first solo record, Positive Feedback. This is not a guitar record. This is him doing his electronics thing. He does it real well. I can't even begin to tell you the equipment he uses. I've seen him and live a few times in recent times doing this stuff, and there's a Merzbowishness to it, but there's also a glitch thing going on, as well as good old power electronics. You know, we're talking about people like Throbbing Gristle and Whitehouse. Some of their stuff was probably, you know, setting the groundwork for that stuff. This is really good. Positive feedback by Depose. Seek it out. More along the drone lines is Stars of the Lid. I definitely would like to have more on this in vinyl. I've got more on CD, but Avec Laudanum. This is one of those records for me. If I have the time when I listen to this, it's one of those things where I just kind of want to flip it over and over and just go about my business, because it just takes over the atmosphere. And that's a big part of what music is for me. Is it's the sound of life. It's, you know, music is to live by. It's the soundtrack of living. Walter Marchetti in Terram Utopicam. I've showed this before, but I pull this out again. I looked this guy up. He's got a background. Been around for a while. When it comes to the avant-garde composition, this is pretty drony and real good. And it's on the Cramps label out of Italy. I highly recommend this label, Cramps. I'll turn it up. Cramps. The Italian progressive jazz rock band Area was on this label. This was released in 1977. When it comes to drone, and 1977 too. This is really intense. This is really good, really thick, and not static at all. Really moves. I'd like to find more in this series. I have Dry Lungs #3, international compilation. These feet would feature the cream of the crop, you would say, of left field noisemakers, musicians, avant-gardists of the time. Let me see. This is Placebo Records, 1987. And among other people on here, we have Maybe Mental, Paul Lemos, Cranioclast, John Wiggins again. Let's see here. Greater Than One. They were on Wax Tracks back in the 80s. Helen Sage, Phantom Tollbooth, and Die Form from Germany, among others. And this is wonderful. It was a must-play both sides. It didn't go down like butter. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it was like, it just continued to renew interest as it would play. Just excellent. Now, this is something that I tried to find out more about, and I don't remember if I found out much. This is something that I took a chance on, again, because of the packaging, many years ago. It's a band called Core, and it's called Chance of Grace. No, it's Chance of Race and Emptiness. And what you have here is a double band. You have to slide it off that way, as well as this way, to which I will. I'll do it. This is going to be a long one, folks, so if you got to take a break, go to the bathroom, you know, get your popcorn, do it about now, put me on pause, you know what I'm saying? So you open it up, and it's not an album cover so much as it is these, well, let me remove the record. This one is another intense piece of sound work. All kinds of information, actually. But you pull these apart, and it's two interchangeable. You can change. This one can be used for the outer cover graphic, or you can lay it so that this one is the outer graphic. And this is the one that I saw recently when I went online trying to find out more about this. I already forgot what I wrote, but what I read. What I can tell you is this is very much in the Nurse with Wounds school of sound work. This is really good, and it's really, really well pressed as well. I'm going to have to read this again to find out who's behind this. It also brought to mind the Hafler Trio. Nurse with Wound and Hafler Trio are amongst the finest. They mystify me what they're able to do with sound. The way they cut it up, treat it, process it, and spit it back at us. Very intriguing. So this core is a Chant of Race and Emptiness. If you can come across that. This is a duet, percussion, and I think trombone. Paul Litton and Nate Woolley. I'm more familiar with Paul Litton. This is private pressing. Broken Records. Broken Research. Private pressing, basically a white label. And this is very quiet and creeps up slowly, but when you allow yourself to get drawn into stuff like this, especially when it's good players like these guys, you get caught up in it, and the next thing you know you've entered a space with these people, and the sound becomes something. I think that's what I find wonderful about listening to sound work. Ambient drone noise, it's all good to me, because it's about where it's taking me. Okay, we're at 16 minutes. These things take forever to upload, so I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. I just got to stop here.